Coming up, State of Business, sponsored by
Good evening. Welcome to the State of Business on Art Television with me, Tirantha Gunawardana. Let's take a look at today's top stories first. Sri Lanka seals agreement to explore hydrocarbon potential in the eastern offshore region. Newly appointed army commander pledges service to all communities in the country. In your top story, Sri Lanka inked an agreement today with the French oil and gas company Total with the inclusion of the Norwegian company Equinor as a joint venture to explore the hydrocarbon potential in the JS5 and JS6 blocks of the Lanka Basin in the eastern offshore part of Sri Lanka.
In 2018, the 50,000 square kilometers, two joint study blocks saw the largest ever 2D seismic survey carried out in Sri Lanka, where 5,000 line kilometers were used. The data from this seismic survey showed that two blocks have significant hydrocarbon potential, and thereby Total decided to move forward to the next phase of exploration with Equinor as a joint partner. Thus, benefits of this joint study agreement include free access to new geophysical data, knowledge and technology transfer, and utilization of local goods and services during operations.
I'm indeed very happy and proud to be associated as the minister today, because it's a very important moment for Sri Lanka. We are gaining ground on the exploration side of natural gas and oils in the Mannar Basin. Just a week ago, we had an event about a week and a half ago with working out the airborne gravity magnetic data acquisition processing with Bell Geospace. We signed an agreement and we set it off. And now, a few days later, we are again sitting on moving forward on a key moment for Sri Lanka, and especially working with two very important countries. We are glad that we have Equinor coming in to the partnership that previously was between Total and the government of Sri Lanka. So now we have a tripartite agreement.
Newly appointed commander of the Sri Lanka Army, Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva, assures that he will be the commander for all citizens in the country and will respect all religions and ethnicities in equal terms. The Army commander placed this assurance at a press conference held in Colombo yesterday.
Of course, I am not Army commander to any ethnicity. I am the commander of the Sri Lanka Army to protect each and every Sri Lankan. I am the commander to protect the entire community of this nation along with the Army. I believe that the Army, even this morning when I addressed all the officers, I said first my concern is about the protection of the country, protection of its people, development of the Army, and the well-being of the members of the Army. When it comes to well-being, I have category, these are the four focus areas that I have concentrated. The well-being of the members of the Army means the members who are serving in the organization, the members who have retired, the members who have got wounded in action, and the families of the members who have sacrificed their lives. So even as far as all other civilians are concerned, I treat them equal.
The Colombo Defence Seminar will be held for the 9th consecutive year on the 29th and 30th of August at the BMICH under the theme Evolving Military Excellence in the Contemporary Security Landscape.
The Colombo Defence Seminar commenced in 2011 and since then has been an annual event in the military calendar. Accordingly, this year's Defence Seminar is expected to attract around 800 foreign and local participants, including 13 foreign and 14 local speakers over 9 sessions that will cover the sub-themes such as contemporary security landscape, conflict or cooperation, confronting terrorism, military modernization and military readiness in the contemporary security landscape. Briefing the media on the defence seminar, the Kilnoche Security Force Commander Major General G.V. Ravipriya said 81 countries have been invited to attend the defence seminar, of which 42 countries have already confirmed their participation. Some of the 42 confirmed participating countries are the USA, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Canada, China, France, India, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, UK and Singapore, and this year Brazil and Hungary would be participating in the Colombo Defence Seminar for the first time. Meanwhile, President Maithripala Sirisena will attend the Colombo Defence Seminar as the chief guest, and the Defence Secretary General retired Shantha Koteyagoda will make the opening remarks, and the former Minister of Constitutional Affairs in the cabinet of President Nelson Mandela and the serving Director of Transformation Initiative in South Africa, Rolf Meyer, will deliver the keynote address.
The Ministry of Civil Aviation yesterday announced that the soft opening of the Palali Airport will be held on the 15th of October this year. An official from the ministry said that the decision was taken after a special meeting held at the Temple Trees yesterday.
The progress meeting on the Palali Airport Development Project took place yesterday at Temple Trees, chaired by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and attended by Civil Aviation Minister Arjun Ranatunga, Foreign Minister Tilak Marapenna and Tamil National Alliance parliamentarians Mave Senadiraja and M.A. Sumandiran. Civil Aviation Minister Arjun Ranatunga, Foreign Minister Tilak Marapenna and Tamil National Alliance parliamentarians Mave Senadiraja and M.A. Sumandiran were present at the meeting, according to an update released by Temple Trees. Officials present at the meeting said that as much as 30% of the construction had been completed and a soft opening will be held on the 15th of October. The Palali Airport is being given an upgrade at a cost of 22 billion rupees, and once completed, the strategically located Palali Airport will have the capacity to handle direct commercial flights to countries like India, Australia, China, Japan, Middle East nations and several European countries. The officials also said that expansions of the runway and related facilities will be completed during the first phase, while the permanent terminal buildings will be constructed during the second phase once the airport attracts a significant amount of air traffic. The extent of Palali runway will be expanded to 3,500 meters, and it will have the capability to handle large passenger aircraft such as the Airbus A320 and A321.
It's time for a short commercial break. Do stay tuned for more news after this.
නිහඬව සෝත්සායෙන් රට ගොඩනගන මේ මිනිසා සේම රටේ ප්‍රවාහන අර්බුදයට විසඳුම් සොයන මේ මිනිසුන්ද සාමාන්‍ය මිනිසුන් නොව යකඩ මිනිසුන්ය. පන්නරය ඉන්න හිතෙන රටකට.
Welcome back. Presenting a report at the end of a 12-day mission to Sri Lanka, UN Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Religion or Belief, Ahmad Shahid, states that Sri Lanka lacks rule of law, accountability of institutions, and highlighted that the country's relevant authorities are not strong enough to protect communities against threats and acts of violence. The Special Rapporteur made his visit in Sri Lanka just 7 months before the scheduled presentation of his report to the United Nations Human Rights Council in March 2020.
One of the biggest concerns raised to me noted the failure of the state to give protection against advocacy of this hatred that constitute incitement to discrimination, hostility and violence, as well as to real acts of violence. Thus, many raised concerns about the rise of extremism, the politicization of religion, propagation of hate campaigns using electronic and social media. The impact of these negative developments is aggravated by deficits in the application of the rule of law, especially impunity and lack of accountability, and the use of what are seen as double standards, as well as the prominence attached to ethno-religious identity.
Against this backdrop, UN Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Religion or Belief, Ahmad Shahid, shared some essential recommendations for immediate consideration while stressing that urgent reforms should be made in sectors such as defense and education in order to combat religious unrest in Sri Lanka.
That it must prosecute those responsible for violence and incitement to violence and make efforts to dismantle networks of hate and facilitate access to justice to victims of hate crimes. I also have called upon the state to develop systems and mechanisms to monitor and respond to hate crimes in conformity with international human rights standards. Government leaders and faith-based leaders must speak out against hateful narratives and reject efforts to ostracize and stigmatize minority communities and persons in vulnerable situations. Urgent reforms are required to the education system that must foster inclusive identities. The obligation on international law require that Sri Lanka fulfill or use education in ways that prepare children for responsible life in a free society, in a spirit of understanding, peace, tolerance, equality of sexes, and friendship among all peoples, ethnic and religious groups, and persons of indigenous origin.
In more developments, addressing the first ever annual general meeting of the Palm Oil Industry Association held in Colombo yesterday, President of the Palm Oil Industry Association, Dr. Rohan Fernando, states that the palm oil industry has been neglected due to a one-sided and baseless report presented by the Central Environmental Authority. Meanwhile, Non-Cabinet Minister of Economic Reforms and Public Distribution, Dr. Harsha De Silva, expressed his readiness to offer a suitable platform to create a viable dialogue among palm oil industry stakeholders, government officials in the ministry, Treasury and academics in order to find solutions to key issues faced in the local palm oil industry.
Sri Lankan government approved the cultivation of 20,000 hectares of land to be cultivated in palm oil. Subsequently, there was an approval granted to import palm oil seeds, approximately 500,000 or more, with the approval of the authorities. However, Dr. Rohan Fernando says the Central Environmental Authority's unfair report obstructed this venture. Dr. Fernando further noted the report included a committee who looked into the subject, but not all the members of the committee signed the report, and it was presented in the most unfortunate manner. As a result, regional plantation companies were unable to cultivate 20,000 hectares of land which had been reserved for cultivating oil palm, and he requested the government to review this issue with the subject experts. Against this backdrop, Non-Cabinet Minister of Economic Reforms and Public Distribution, Dr. Harsha De Silva, stressed that existing issues faced by the industry cannot be answered in isolation, and stressed the need to bring different groups together to correct key issues faced by the industry.
Sri Lanka's High Commissioner to India, Austin Fernando, requests the members of the Outbound Tour Operators Association of India to back promoting Sri Lanka's Ramayana heritage sites among Indian travellers, which will create a win-win situation for the respective stakeholders. The High Commissioner made this request at a workshop on Sri Lanka's Ramayana heritage sites organized by the Sri Lanka High Commission together with the Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau and the Outbound Tour Operators Association of India at the High Commission premises on the 21st of August.
The focus of the workshop was to give a boost to cultural tourism in Sri Lanka through the projection of Sri Lanka's Ramayana heritage sites and their historical values to the members of the Outbound Tour Operators Association of India, enabling them to sell the package to their customers as a potential travel product. High Commissioner Fernando noted the advantages of promoting cultural tourism in Sri Lanka and challenges in terms of managing visitor flows to Sri Lanka, food preferences of travellers, and direct air connectivity. Moreover, he stated that Ramayana Trail can be considered as a part of cultural tourism element due to historical characters, historical events, cultural sites, and related attractions, and he further stated that Ramayana Trail would be of assistance to upgrade cultural tourism in Sri Lanka, since this is an untapped and niche segment, and encourage the tour operators to sell the product among the outbound travellers.
Time for us to head in for another commercial break. Do stay tuned for the Stock Watch after this.
Enjoy twice the action, twice the romance, and twice the laughter. Now with twice the data. Experience high-speed internet for the best rates in the market with Bell 4G.
Welcome back. Trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The all-share price index gained 27.21 points to close at 5,908.93 and the S&P SL 20 gained 29.87 points to close at 2,921.59. Turnover was 550 million rupees and over 28 million shares were traded. Up next are today's forex trades. And with that, we come to the end of today's bulletin. Tune in tomorrow at the same time for more of the very latest. Until then, take care and good night.
State of Business was sponsored by